Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have many pastimes and collecting physical media is definitely one of them. I love music a lot. It's something that's really important to me. I refuse to go a day without listening to music. I have a lot of stuff in my collection and I'm only going to keep collecting more. So I think I might do a couple parts of this. I collect physical media because we live in an age of streaming services that ruin everything and they are a cancer to our society.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I think there is a resurgence of piracy and I've noticed a massive return to physical media. I value owning my things. Nowadays you buy an e-version of a game or an album, which really means that you don't own the item. It's pretty sad. My collection is an extension of who I am and what I enjoy. I grew up watching cable TV, going to Blockbuster to rent DVDs. My younger self yearns for physical media. With that being said, here are some of the favorites in my collection. Okay, so we're gonna start off strong. We're gonna start off with my copy of E by Echo 2K. I feel like I don't have to say much about this album as it really speaks for itself. This album has an atmospheric quality to it. When I listen to it, it makes me feel warm, fuzzy, sexy, euphoric, kind of like I'm on an enjoyable dose of. Replay value for this album is incredibly high. I've fallen asleep to it on flights many times. This is also one of those albums that you listen to and it makes you feel like a bad bitch. And yeah, I'm sure many people can relate to that statement. It's definitely one of the coolest CDs in my collection. We've got Little Dragon, Nabooma Rubber Band. This is such a great album. Also, more Swedish musicians. If you don't know, Echo 2K is also from Sweden. I say this all the time, but there's gotta be something in the water in Sweden because why is their music so good? This is my favorite Little Dragon album. Yukimi Nagano, the lead singer of the band, is one of my all-time favorite vocalists. She's featured on a few of my favorite songs by The Gorillaz and Subtract. Her vocals for this album are out of this world. I don't really understand the lyrics, but her voice is just so profound that it doesn't even really matter. Production is brilliant. Beginning to end, this album is fantastic. The first two albums I showed you guys. Tangible proof that Scandinavia is the next world power. I digress. Next CD is Toro y Moi, Anything in Return. Some would say this is Toro y Moi's more approachable work. Also, side note, Toro y Moi is the pride of the Philippines in my eyes. This album is sick. I used to listen to it a lot many years ago. But after revisiting that album, after a few years, I can say it's definitely still very much ahead of its time. The album holds up really well. Touch and Cola are my favorite songs on the album. Definitely give those a listen. Mayor Hawthorne, A Strange Arrangement. I think this is one of those albums where you can't help but question what time period it comes from. The production and vocals are very 60s Motown soul. Mayor Hawthorne is another one of my favorite vocalists. He's signed to Stones Throw Records. Jay Dilla, Madvillain, James Pant, and Knowledge are also in Stones Throw. I think Mayor Hawthorne has a crazy depth of range in his voice, and I really love his falsettos. I used to listen to this album a lot in high school, so it does have a nostalgic factor. My first boyfriend ever introduced me to Mayor Hawthorne, so shout out to him. If you guys would like to listen, I would recommend listening to Just Ain't Gonna Work Out, which is the third track on this album. Shiny and New is also really good as well. Chet Baker Sings. I was really excited when I found this. Chet Baker emerged in the 50s. His voice is very dreamy and soft. It has this sexually ambiguous quality to it. He's also excellent at playing the trumpet. Unfortunately, like other jazz musicians, he was plagued by addiction. He lived a life of addiction and died a very tragic death. Rest in peace, Chet Baker. Definitely give this album a listen. I feel like a lot of people have heard his songs though. Time After Time. Time after time. My Funny Valentine is a really popular song that you hear on the radio a lot. I Fall in Love Too Easily is my favorite song. Give that one a listen. I know I showed this in my Asia haul, but I can't help it. I have to mention Jodeci. Diary of a Mad Band, Jodeci. Please bring back horny 90s R&B music. I am fully convinced that men today do not yearn in the ways that Jodeci yearned. Jodeci makes addict-level romantic desperation music. Some would also argue that Jodeci revolutionized 90s R&B music. At the height of their career, they were seen as innovative, but I would say that stands true to this day. Listen to this album if you're planning on getting freaky with someone you are madly in love with. Goblin, Tyler the Creator. Very random pull, I know. I don't really listen to much Tyler the Creator today, but back then is a completely different story. When I was younger, I was so awed Future Wolfgang killed them all. I would say Goblin raised me. I love Supreme because of this album. I have fond memories of scrolling through Tumblr after school, listening to this album, and messaging my friends on AIM. The lyrics in this album are somewhat nightmare-inducing, and if this album were to come out today, it would definitely 100% be canceled.
You wouldn't do that, Tyler. Kill yourself or anyone. You don't even have the balls.
Production is also very synth-heavy. You can hear a lot of the Neptunes influence. When this album came out, I thought it was unlike anything I've ever heard. It was so cool and scary and awesome. I can say that I still have yet to hear anything like this. Yeah. Goblin. Tracy Denham, Bar Italia. Obviously. I can confidently say this is one of my most listened to albums of all time, ever since it released. This album is infectious. I feel like it scratches an itch in my brain. It's very guitar heavy and the lyrics are catchy and poetic. I think their vocal delivery is so nonchalant and just effortlessly cool, but it can sometimes come across as bored to some people. Not to me though, I think it's just really cool. I would say this album is very reminiscent of The Cure's first album, Three Imaginary Boys, which is also one of my favorite albums of all time. Please listen to that as well. But I think that's why I love it so much, because it reminds me of that. Just pure perfection. I got this at their show actually, and I really wanted them to sign it, and I saw them after the show, but I was too shy. And I didn't have a Sharpie, so let this be a lesson to bring a Sharpie to shows, just in case. I definitely fucked up, and I completely regret that. This one's very random, but also very cool. I feel like it's very on brand for me though. This was actually a gift for Davil. He is the one who introduced me to the world of FromSoft. Dark Souls 3 holds a very special place in my heart. It's the first Souls game I have ever picked up, and it does have the greatest soundtrack in my opinion. It also does have the hardest bosses in my opinion as well. It is widely acclaimed as a masterpiece of modern video game scoring. The soundtrack contains very intense orchestral compositions that are intended to invoke pure fear and anxiety in the player's hearts and minds. I can say that from personal experience. It does a great job at doing so. I have a lot of the songs ingrained in my brain because of the amount of times I had to listen to it while fighting bosses. Yeah, that's Dark Souls 3. Nirvana Unplugged in New York City. I love Nirvana, and I actually grew up listening to Nirvana thanks to my dad. This album was actually recorded in a one-take session. It's also considered as one of the greatest live performances of all time. Kurt Cobain himself thought that this performance was a disaster. Can you believe that? He died 7 months before this album was released to the public. If only he knew how much of a success it actually was. Love the acoustic nature and intensity of the raw vocals. I think this entire album sounds super grungy. The Lead Belly cover is my favorite song on this album. Rest in peace, Kurt Cobain. I feel like a lot of people have this in their collection. I have a cassette. This is the Twin Peaks soundtrack. Yes, I do have a cassette player. I can actually listen to these things. The Twin Peaks soundtrack is easily regarded as a masterpiece of television scoring. I think the soundtrack perfectly defines David Lynch's haunting and peculiar concepts within the show. I don't have much to say about this one. It's just awesome. I would recommend watching the show and listening to the soundtrack if you haven't already. I'm going to finish off really strong with this one. I have Dean Blunt, Black Metal, and Black Metal 2 on vinyl actually. Not much to see on the covers, they're both just black. Where do I even begin? Dean Blunt is probably one of my favorite artists of all time. I'd have to think about it a little bit more, but right now I think he's definitely one of my favorite musicians. His music is very melancholic, and I feel like I am a very melancholic person to my core. He has a very monotonous voice. Sometimes I feel like he's just talking. I think he does talk in a lot of his tracks, just kind of just sounds like a conversation. Both black metal albums are very genre agnostic. I feel like Dean Blunt is just not one to adhere to a specific genre, which is why he's my favorite artist, because listening to him never gets old or boring. It's always a refreshing experience. If you don't listen to Dean Blunt now, I would definitely recommend listening to Dean Blunt going forward. That's all for this video. I have more to share if you guys would like to see it. I try to include stuff that I haven't already shown in previous videos. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye!